Hey, I'm Zach, the engineer here at Happy, and today we're in Studio A and we're going to do a cover of Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People with a little help from Arturia's new Tape J37 plugin. The Tape J37 plugin by Arturia is a recreation of the legendary Studer J37 tape machine. The J37 tape machine really is one of the most iconic pieces of gear in the audio world, known for its harmonic richness and natural compression that's powered by its 200+ vacuum tubes. Developed by Studer in the early 60s, the J37 multi-track tape machine was famously used by the Beatles when recording Sgt. Pepper at Abbey Road Studios in London. The controls on the Tape J37 plugin can be as simple or complex as you like. When you first open the plugin up, it's quite simple. You have 3 sections of controls. You've got the color, you've got the drive, and you've got the speed. So the color section has 4 options. You've got pristine, you've got warm, you've got gritty, and you've got dirtiest. And they all emulate different types of tape. You have new tape and you have old tape, and they're based on different calibration curves as well. So you have the NAB calibration curve and the CCIR calibration curve. So the colors will give you different levels of saturation and different levels of filtering. So the further along you go to the dirtiest, it will have the most amount of filter and the most amount of saturation. But what's quite nice is Arturia's included this modern button which removes the filters. So if you just want the distortion but you want to keep the crisp top end and the nice punchy low end, you can chuck those in and you're not losing any of that. So the next section is pretty straightforward. You've got the drive knob in the middle, and the more you turn it, the more you drive it, the more of that tape saturation and those tubes you will be getting. Next to the drive knob, you've got the 2 tape speeds, which is 7.5 inches per second and 15. 7.5 naturally will give you a slightly lower fi sound, whereas the 15 inches per second will kind of keep the top end and a little bit more of a modern sound. And then there's also a little transport control, which is quite cool. Most of the time you'll have the little tape start music button on, and that will just keep the tapes going. And then you've got the stop button, which will simulate a tape stop. So when you press the stop button, it will slow down the audio as if it was on a real tape machine, and you get that little slow down tape effect. And right next to that, you get to pick how many bars you want it to take to slow down, and whether you want it to start up instantly or start up on a little fast forward as well. If you want to get a little bit more into the weeds, there's an advanced section at the top which shows you 3 more sections of the J37 plugin. To show you how this plugin sounds, we're going to do a cover of Foster the People's Pumped Up Kicks, laying down drums, bass, guitar and synths. First up, we're going to track the drums. We're going to instantly change the speed down to 7.5 because the hi-hats are a little bit too harsh and we just want to reduce the top end slightly. We're going to keep the gritty color because that's giving us the nice EQ and saturation that we're looking for. In this plugin, the EQ has a little bump in the pre for the low end, which gives us a little bit more of that distorted low end that comes through on the song. And we're going to bump the calibration up for the instability ever so slightly, just to give it a little bit more width. So the next section is the bass, and I've plugged it DI straight into the interface, and we've loaded up the Tape J37 plugin, and we've gone in and gone with the bass warmer preset, which uses the old SM468 tape calibration and uses the 7.5 speed, so it's quite a warm, quite dark sound to it. It gives a little boost in the emphasis mode in the EQ, which adds a little bit more harmonic distortion to those lower frequencies. Next, we're going to add the guitar part, and we're going to be using the upwards flutter preset, which is really good for adding width. As you can see in the calibration here, the instability is at 70%, which is great, and the delay loop is going, so we've got that width and the delay. We've also got the stereo offset, which makes it slightly different in both channels, which again adds to that width. I am going to boost the EQ in the mids just to give the spring in the amp a little bit more of a pop. and we're going to leave it on 15 inches per second and have the color quite low just to make sure we still get that kind of little pop from the spring in the amp. For the synth part, I'm using Arturia's Minilab 3 and running through the Augmented Strings plugin. And we are using the Del Mar preset, which gives a nice, lush, evolving pad sound. For this little cover, I just used one note, just use an E flat, and we've run that through the chorus delay keys preset on the Tape J37, which does a great job of kind of widening the pads with the stereo offset and the delay loop and calibration in full effect. You can see it's got 98% instability to really just kind of drive the width and the chorusing of the pad. So that's just a little piece of what the Tape J37 tape emulation plugin can do. To find out more, go to Arturia's website and download a demo and check out this thing for yourself.